We don't have much time.
Harlan's planning an attack.
Atlas, my primary protocol is to keep you alive.
Same!
The premise for Brad Peyton's sci-fi actioner Atlas might sound like artificial intelligence propaganda, but against all odds, the end result doesn't leave behind a sour taste. As we grapple with OpenAI's unauthorized Scarlett Johansson cosplay, racist chatbots, and other fantasies of creatively bankrupt Silicon Valley billionaires, it's hard to imagine AI headlining any kind of movie besides techno-horror tales like Megan. That's not lost in this galactic survival flick, though. Writers Leo Sardarian and Aaron Eli Colite blend buddy comedy banter into a commentary on AI's collaborative benefits. Think road trip humor meets Lee Whannell's Upgrade with dashes of Guillermo del Toro's Pacific Rim. It's a bold choice, portraying ChatGPT's descendants as our friends instead of our foes, yet Peyton avoids letting Atlas become an unintentional punchline. But let's be clear, he doesn't eradicate concerns about AI's threat to countless professions or its environmental ramifications either.
What do I do?
Stop it!
Jennifer Lopez stars as Atlas Shepard, an expert analyst for the International Coalition of Nations, or ICN, in a not-so-distant future where automatons have gone Skynet on humanity. The offensive was led by Harlan, the world's first AI terrorist played by Simu Liu, who's introduced during an aggressively dystopian barrage of TV news reports that feels exceptionally ridiculous if you've seen any movie where a robot goes rogue. Peyton's world building is down and dirty, rapidly blowing through a violent uprising, the ICN's successful counterattack, Harlan's escape to another planet, and his vow to finish what he started on Earth. We meet Atlas roughly 30 years later, as she joins an elite ICN squadron aiming to eliminate Harlan before he delivers on his threat.
If you really want to try to capture Harlan, you need me on that mission.
For the first few minutes, Atlas feels redundantly paranoid and unsubtle about its depiction of murderous robomaids. Abraham Papula's mechanical assassin Casca bashes his way through a squadron of ICN soldiers, but we're soon with Sterling K. Brown's Colonel Elias Banks, whose aggressively pro-AI stance seeps into the rest of the film. Once Peyton introduces a safe two-way consciousness shared by ICN Rangers and their Titanfall-esque mechs, arc suits as the script calls them, Atlas shifts to preaching coexistence with regulated oversight. Where the introductory fear-mongering depicts a familiar dystopia, friendly mechs who protect their harmlessly linked human partners suggest utopian alternatives. Why this movie works, and why Atlas's journey is so unique, is because we are looking at like a decades later view of AI. This is not something that's now we should be scared about right now, but at the same time, it kind of inspires a little hope to see where Atlas gets at the end of this journey. There can be a coexistence between us and this AI future. And I'm not saying we're anywhere near there, but I didn't find myself actively hating every single message this movie put out like I thought I would. As you might predict, Atlas, despite her technophobia, finds herself inside an arc suit that goes by Smith, voiced by Gregory James Cohen. Lopez's function for the remainder of Atlas is to fight tooth and nail against a disembodied supercomputer trying to save her life. She's acting against a recorded voice, yet their chemistry is vulnerable and natural.
No? What are you then?
I am a computer program named Smith.
No one likes a smartass Smith.
Atlas is portrayed early on as this frizzly-haired Luddite yelling at clouds. But Atlas's shared journey with Smith is deceptively emotional, despite one half of the team's inability to feel emotions. Smith turns Atlas's sarcastic deflections into surprisingly endearing breaths of levity, while Lopez acts her butt off to realize a fully fleshed out character who's trapped inside a cramped arc cockpit for the majority of the movie.
This won't work if you don't trust me.
Okay. Let's do this.
There's such an interesting quality to what Lopez is doing on camera because all of that is her. She's just standing on a green screen somewhere or a platform, whatever technology. There's nothing around her, and yet she makes us feel like this entire contraption is real and she is inside a giant mech. Atlas's reliance on digital animation aligns with the overuse of green screens in Netflix originals, but it's less of a distraction than usual. Action sequences featuring airborne arcs blasting Harlan's defense droid sends the camera swirling, as the mech suits move fluidly across the screen. Colonel Banks' arc Zoe exhibits giddiness as she hands Atlas a cup of coffee, awaiting praise like a daughter waiting for her mother's approval. And the control center view from inside the arcs nails that fun-sized Jaeger detail. There's nothing astonishingly rich or inventive about Peyton's off-world landscapes. It's hardly like watching Star Wars or District 9 for the first time, but the production's visuals are still sharper than expected. Peyton has mentioned Titanfall as an influence, and there are parallels to the game's graphics and that sense of excitement all over Atlas. And it's probably the closest we'll ever get to a Titanfall video game adaptation until we get an actual Titanfall video game adaptation. The supporting performances are largely serviceable, rising to the levels of the cliche-ridden script. Colonel Banks speaks in effusive confidence, predictably jinxing his so-called foolproof plan to infiltrate Harlan's hideout. Then there's Harlan himself, a treacherous villain hell-bent on genocide who might as well be a Skynet Trojan horse, with all those Terminator light makeup effects and a T-1000 arm blade. Papula's dead-eyed vibes are like so many killer replicants we've seen before, not that that's an issue beyond lack of originality. Everyone else in the movie exists to help Atlas overcome her disdain for Smith, especially Harlan, who represents today's underdeveloped and woefully untested AI models that are rushed to market without safeguards. Through it all, Lopez holds our attention. A movie about human-AI cooperation presented by an algorithmically driven streamer is poised to shoot itself in the foot over and over. But Jenny from the Block sells Atlas as sturdy popcorn entertainment. She sweats through the dangerous intensity of final boss battles staged around pools of molten magma, chuckles at the irony of her circumstances, and adds lighthearted charm when bantering with Smith about pastries. The script might be paper thin, and its themes might be written in bright neon lights, but with a movie star like Lopez at the controls, Atlas never falters.
Let's go, bitch.
Atlas earns more than a shrug, even if it won't settle relevant and alarming debates about artificial intelligence's place in contemporary society. Brad Peyton oversees a futuristic action thriller that frequently plays like a clone of other cautionary tales about AI. But those movies, shows, games, and books don't have Peyton's secret weapon, Jennifer Lopez. She's able to command the screen, bicker with software programs, and sell a convincing heroine's arc from behind a mech-suit's windshield. Atlas is far from the justice for AI disaster its premise implies, and while it's not the next groundbreaking sci-fi epic, it earns points for building an entertaining, adequately executed movie around a hot-button topic.
Smith!
For more movie reviews, check out what we thought of Furiosa and Mad Max Saga and Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes. And for everything else, stick with IGN.
This is what it feels like to be us.
It's beautiful.
Got no